literally just did that. So you think you want to do rideshare, but I want to tell you right now, it's really not for everyone. And I want to explain why. My name's Dan. I drive in one of the wildest cities in the US of Houston, Texas. We're the fourth largest city, and it definitely keeps me very busy within the city and on my toes whenever I drive my day. I try to drive in an 8 hour time period. Uber allows you to do up to 12 hours. That's kind of extreme. 8 hours is good enough. And generally, what happens is 8 hours of rider time. And then what I'll do is there's about an hour or so of downtime that I'll take throughout the day for eating lunch, taking little breaks, usually going to the bathroom. And then sometimes I just have to break loose from where I'm at and kind of split the difference to where I want to go. So I might drive 10 or 15 minutes to a better area. Um, but it's not for everyone. And the reason why is because driving kind of it takes a toll on not only your vehicle, but also your body. I started driving 18 wheelers in 2014 or 2015 and fully endorsed, drove for a long time till about 2018 and decided to go back to college. What I've learned in driving 18 wheelers is I'm using that same principle more or less with Uber. Very similar concepts carry over in all transportations. From there, when I got done with my college, it's during the COVID era, and jobs are just absolutely shot right now. It's 2026 while I'm making this video. I started doing Uber in 2025, November, and only did it for like a month and a half before the new year started. So um, now the new year is well past, and I definitely understand it a lot better during that Christmas and holiday time period. Um, when I got done with college, I was working for a liquor store, big chain here in Houston, and did that for like 2 years, 2.5 years while I was in college. Left that and then went over to a beer distributor. And it's just like the same thing with Coca Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper. That type of job is very rough on your body. And I was starting to get all types of body pains. It was so bad. I was coming home so sore and hurting. I didn't really know what exactly was hurting until after I left the job. And it took probably 2 or 3 weeks until after I left the job, realizing I'm in a lot more pain than what that job had me doing. And it's just because I was lifting up um, constant packs of beer, pulling pallets, setting up displays, tearing displays down, climbing on top of stuff just to get the job done. And that job in itself was a long job. It was anywhere between 12 to 14 hours. So I wasn't really to take time off from doing what I needed to do in my personal life. I had horrible days, despite their consecutive Monday and Tuesday day off. I worked every weekend. I worked every holiday, and then it was to the point where even if it was on a Monday, um, we just didn't have enough people. So I had to go work on a Monday when it was my day off, especially during holidays, mostly during holidays. Um, while we were trying to train people and stuff like that. I was at that beer company for 2.5 years, and I learned a lot with just business practices overall. Went through like 6 managers, and that was a really bad time after they told me multiple times that they would promote me and get me more into sales, even though I was basically doing stuff that sales was doing because we just didn't have enough people. Um, But yeah, ultimately, it would just make my body hurt. My feet, plantar fasciitis formed in both my feet. My knees are basically gone. I'm getting better with it. Shoulder pains. This hand was hurting because I was constantly gripping and moving stuff around. And then, of course, elbow pain. But I didn't really know all that until after I got done, like I said, because I was just constantly sore all the time. So during the summer of 2025, I started taking a class online to get a wastewater certification, and I moved into that field. I wasn't there that long, probably like 2 months from like August, September until November. Um, and that company was also kind of doing the same thing based on because it was an essential job. They really didn't care about you at all. By essential job, I mean the government wanted the information 24/7. So we always had to work, like always. There was times where I'm driving from Houston, Texas to Corpus Christi, doing 8 hours of work, then driving back. If you don't know the area, well, that's about a 4 to 5 hour drive with no traffic. And I had time sensitive stuff that I had to pull and waste water to get back up to our lab. So that became a big problem. And ultimately, I left in mid November, right around Thanksgiving. I spent the weekend at my sister's place, and we were able to do Thanksgiving. While I was doing that, I signed up for Uber and started um, messing with the Uber stuff. I knew some people that did Uber on the side, and I knew people that did DoorDash on the side and Lyft in different jobs that I have done. And they all actually kind of enjoyed it. They're like, well, it doesn't make a whole lot of money, but that was kind of besides the point because I want to get back to my own life, my own time. And that's the biggest difference. When you don't have control of your life, you don't have control of your time, you're working for someone else. Uber kind of allows you to escape that and do your own stuff. And there's been times I've worked really hard with Uber and made really good money. There's other times where I had to take care of personal stuff, so the days weren't quite as good um, to what I really want to do as far as driving. But I do think it's worth it. As far as driving for Uber, anywhere you want to go, I recommend it as long as it's a major city and doesn't have to be as big as Houston. Uh, all the cities in Texas are just absolutely massive now. So all the big cities, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, probably going to do pretty good in those cities. There's a few other ones like Waco and Corpus Christi, El Paso, Amarillo. I'm going to probably recommend those being good cities to drive in. And there might be a few other little ones here and there, but if you look at those populations and you can find cities within that area, I highly recommend it. Now, I want to kind of compare driving for Uber in these videos. Oh, I totally just did that. Why did it go into about 10 minutes? Okay, I don't know where I left off about comparison. Damn files. I forgot about that with GoPro. GoPro shut down after like 10 minutes unless you change it. Sometimes 30 minutes if you can do that. But all right, so what I was talking about earlier is comparing Houston, Texas and Texas in general, the Texas market, to New York or on the East Coast, mostly New York, and then LA. The pricing in New York area I've seen differently with other YouTubers. Surge pricing typically is a lot more, and that's probably because the labor laws are totally different in New York. Um, and and basically the state kind of goes after employers a lot better in that area. Cost of living is way higher, so I can expect, if during the surge pricing, they're getting paid $20 on surge pricing, $30 in surge pricing. Um, I kind of expect that just because of the cost of living up in New York is totally different. Um, compared to here where surge pricing is not, it's at least, um, yeah, it's a fraction of that, way different. But the surge pricing that I've seen, and then just the overall pricing that I've seen in California, it's almost the same as Texas, which doesn't really make sense because they're also a pro union state. They're also pro labor laws or kind of that pro union, and their higher of cost of living is just a lot higher. Yet it seems like it's about the same, about pretty comparable. And I've also seen it in Georgia. I've seen this on YouTubers and as well as some Uber forums on Facebook, and that's mostly what I'm going to be talking about is Uber itself. I haven't done Lyft, and I haven't done DoorDash, and there's another app that I want to eventually jump over to. I think can make way more money than those two apps. So um, that I will get into hopefully over the next few weeks. But the biggest is there are people that are out there on Facebook forums that you can find that can kind of compare different cities to different areas. Georgia kind of being similar to the Houston market as well as the Texas, LA, or the California market. So that said, kind of take it from a grain of salt. I do think it's worth it doing some type of rideshare system, especially if you're in a big city where it's kind of hard to get quality transportation. Houston's definitely one of those where the only transportation we have are the metro buses, and no one wants to take those if you can. Those are just horrible. There's basically no cabs, but like independent people. So yellow cabs, non-existent. There is light rail, but it's within the city of Houston, in the city itself, not in the surrounding neighborhoods, which I think is kind of a shame. And it's also it's nice. It's just something that a lot of people complain about. Um, Houston has two primary modes of transportation: cars. So it's a very car centric town. And for whatever reason, we like bikes and scooters and those individual things. So within the city of Houston, don't be surprised if you see, if you've never been there, visiting people riding around on scooters, dirt bikes, or bicycles. And there's actually bike lanes just for bicycles. So uh, bikes are a big primary transportation system. So, um, but you can't go across town with them for the most part. It'll take you all day. So cars are the primary mode of transportation. Very car centric town. So that said, I think I want to wrap it up. I want to move on to another subject for another video and try to keep these videos about 15 minutes long. So if I miss anything, I'll definitely try to put it down in the description or put some words up on the screen and make it a little bit easier. All right, till then, um, I'll come up with another topic later.